Okie dokie. Welcome to a new installment of the Queen City Roundup, where not damn it, I'm
Wow, nice
dying
start.
already. Yeah.
Take a sip
So
of
nothing,
water. There you
nothing.
go. Sort
So
yourself
nothing.
out.
So nothing happened last week at all. Um,
No, nothing big.
besides me becoming a Curb Enthusiasm meme,
Mhm.
which Joey made it because of course he did. Also, I don't know why. Like, I don't know if it's my webcam or if it's Zoom, but like, it looks like I'm like in like a haze of like fog. I don't know.
I
It's
think
really
I think you
weird.
just got a shitty webcam.
Yeah, I'm thinking about getting another one soon. I might just like go on Amazon and like. But anyway, that's besides the point. We're getting off track here. So last week I made a complete idiot of myself. Not just because now I have bangs that a friend of mine gave me a stern talking to about not having them because like apparently they look bad, but I can kind of see that. Um, Random tidbit, which we'll talk about later when we get to hockey. I was ranting about the a certain incident that happened after the Flames Leaf game that happened on Sunday afternoon,
We'll get to that
and
after.
I was making like a snap story about it, and like it was like a full like minute or not a snap story, it was like a like streak post. It was like a full minute of it, and I was just like, "This is my logic. You can't argue with it. Like, go fuck yourself if you disagree with me." So I'm expecting one of my friends, like a partial Flames fan, to be like, or not Flames fan, but he's like the guy that's like, come on, I mean, like, it's old times, like it's fine, right? So then I get one of my other friends. She just sends me a text like, "What the hell are those bangs on your forehead?" And I'm just like, "There's a lockdown, ma'am. Relax. I can't get my hair cut now. I mean, I can, but like, we'd have to do it outside, and like, right now, no. But anyway, random tidbit that totally does not relate to what we're gonna dive into here. So we were originally supposed to end last week's show with baseball, but then George Springer was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna let you guys finish, but the Blue Jays had one of them best off seasons of all time." And yeah, they did. But we talked about the uh, Springer signing. But before we started recording for the our episode tonight, we had another breaking signing of the Blue Jays acquiring.
At least it happened before and before the show,
Yeah,
not after.
yeah. It's like usually we rarely have anything break before. We have a couple things rarely happen during, but usually it's like every single. I call it kind of like podcaster luck or like radio luck, where it's like after something ends, when they have like a few
Then the
talking
bomb
points.
drops.
Yeah, the bomb just drops and like all hell breaks loose, which was basically last Tuesday night, uh where I feel like we can't make fun of this franchise anymore for not signing anybody, because this is 2 years in a row now that
They
they've done
got one of the
this.
top two free agents.
Yeah, this is 2 years now, and like I feel like we're just so reactionary because like uh the we see teams like the Leafs and Raptors not being afraid to spend, and then now of course like now we're seeing the Jays finally start spending a little bit of that Rogers money, some of that Ted Rogers funds. Um, so let's address the elephant in the room. The Jays acquire Marcus Semien on a 1 year, $18 million deal. Uh, I'm mixed about this, to be completely honest with you. I'll let you go first because you said that this was a W. I want you to justify your decision and
I
show your
like
work.
it. I
I
like it
mean, do you
because
though?
because well, obviously he wasn't like a Chris Bryant who the Blue Jays are rumored to get, but he's someone that's flexible, right? Like I think the Jays already said, or it's been reported that he's going to be playing second base, and
Yeah.
so yeah, he's going to be playing second base, which gives the roster a lot more flexibility now because now you can move Biggio into the outfield, making definitely now for sure making an outfielder expendable, which you can either Grichuk or Gurriel Jr. You can trade them away for an arm, which I think is the Blue Jays biggest need right now. Um, you can also put him at shortstop if you need to, or third base. He was third in MVP voting in 2019 in the American League.
And in 2019 in the American League, it wasn't DJ LeMahieu that won it in 20. Who was it? Was it Trout again?
God, I don't remember.
I'm curious. Hold
but
on,
yeah.
I'm gonna.
Anyways, he was third in MVP voting, and he had a really good season. Like last year, his numbers, he got off to a slow start last season, so his numbers got really deflated. But in the back half of last season, he was putting up numbers that were similar to his 2019 season, where he was third in MVP voting. So he's someone who's still, like, I think, extremely underrated and can really help this team.
And to give you an idea, like I'm just looking, I just pulled up the AL MVP voting. Basically every year in the AL is Mike Trout. It feels like, whether they're dead last or not. Alex Bregman was number 2. This was before.
This is just before
I guess it's before Trashgate or
Mhm.
Garbage Can Gate or whatever. And then Semien actually beat LeMahieu by a pretty convincing number. Only 228 votes.
Who won the MVP that year?
Trout in the AL.
Okay, yeah. Okay, anyways, not important, but
the top 5 were Trout, Bregman, Semien, LeMahieu, and Xander Bogaerts. Surprisingly, I didn't think. Well, yeah, I see it. He had 100 plus RBIs, so and 30 plus homers.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Well,
I want to go.
Like I said, anyways, sticking with Semien, he's someone who brings he's someone who brings good defense. He's someone who brings speed, and he can put him in a lot of different places in the outfield. And he can hit too. He gets on base.
Yeah, and I want to go ahead and address the elephant in the room here. And Shai Davidi kind of cleared up the point. So Shai Davidi tweeted, this was about 20 minutes ago or so, saying that the current Jays plan is to play Semien at second base, with Biggio sliding over to third, where he played 10 of his final 13 games, including the playoffs. Jays will be more open to using Vlad Jr. at third as well, but it's most likely Biggio's spot.
So that would put Vlad at first. I don't mind that infield. at all.
Well, I mean, like,
and then and also, I guess you can still trade Gerchuk, but if you have an outfield right now of Springer, Gurriel Jr., and Teoscar Hernandez, and who would be the fourth outfielder? Oh God, not Fisher.
Probably like a Jonathan Davis, probably.
Okay, I don't mind him as the fourth outfielder. So, yeah, like I don't mind that at all, especially in the outfield. And with the infield you have, I think you're pretty much set. And there's still flexibility too, where if you wanted to go out and get a Chris Bryant, like if they could afford it.
Yeah, and I think that's really what the organization is really leaning towards right now, is they don't want to close the door on anything. Like, there's rumors that they're tied in, not just on Chris Bryant, but did you mention Kyle Hendricks before? I don't know if you heard.
I didn't mention him before.
But apparently they're in on Hendricks.
But he's someone because I want to go more into depth about Chris Bryant. We can in a little bit. Yeah, we'll just break down this a little more.
Yeah, we're gonna go on to Bryant in a little bit, because I actually have like the thing with Semien is, like, I was in on getting Semien if a pandemic season didn't happen. Obviously, like, his numbers took a huge dip. Then again,
he just got off to a slow start. Like I saw his numbers through his first 14 games, which really in a 50-game season, which will completely like deflate your numbers. So, and yeah, so like whatever, but I'm not really looking too much into any player's numbers over the last 60-game season.
Like, he's an average hitter. His on base is like,
he's a good defender.
Yeah, he's decent defensively. And like, the reason why I was a little bit skeptical about this is I honestly thought that I heard that the Yankees were on Semien, and I figured that would make sense, especially from the third base side, because they have kind of a hole there, and like, we don't know if Andujar is gonna really mesh into that role. I heard Didi Gregorius' name thrown around a lot, and I personally would have liked that a little more, just because like he's played in the AL East in particular, and is like a lefty. His defense is pretty good. I think he played a little bit of third last year with the Phillies. So like that alone, I think really was kind of like something that I think would have worked. I'm seeing some people saying an overpay because it's $18 million. I want your thoughts on that, because I personally don't think that.
I don't think so. What did he make last year? Like 12 million? Something. He didn't make much less last year. So and then I think also you throw in a little more money to entice him to play another position at second base.
Hmm. I think like he made 13 mil last year, and I think that was his final arbitration contract. And like considering he went off of that year of 30 plus homers, 90 RBIs, he also steals a lot of bases too. Like,
Yeah,
or he doesn't steal a lot of bases, but like
that's one
he
thing that
can
I
get
think
you
the Blue
like,
Jays were lacking in the lineup is a guy
Mhm.
with speed, and now they have that threat to steal a base or to get a triple, or that guy who can score from first to home off a double.
I think, well, like the thing with Semien is like I don't know where he fits in the lineup in like the batting order. Do you put him like 5 and below? You put him in the top
I
4?
figure you either put him in the top. He's either like with that speed, he's either a top 2 guy or a 9 guy.
Maybe like, yeah, maybe an 8-9 guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think the 9 guy usually is going to be your catcher regardless.
Unless your catcher's batting cleanup or something.
Yeah, well, there's not really many cases in baseball where that happens. I think
Not
like maybe like
not now. There was a few years ago.
are you talking
Prime.
about Gary Sanchez?
No, I'm talking about what's his name? Why am I forgetting his name?
Russ
I'm
Martin?
about Salvador Perez and like
Oh, Salvador Perez.
Russell Martin in his heyday.
Dude, I forgot entirely that Salvador Perez existed. Like, if you look at the
Yeah.
Royals from like going on 6 years since they
He
won
was
the
like the
World
best catcher
Series,
in the league at one point, like, especially for hitting.
yeah, you look at that Royals team from 2015, dude, they were good. Like, you had like Alex Gordon when he was still hitting really well. Ben Zobrist, who's like Mr. World Series to me. Every team that he goes on goes to the World Series, unless you're the Rays. But anyway,
There was a
oh no,
run
the Rays did
for
go
a
to the
little
World
bit. Yeah,
Series with him. My
they
bad.
did.
I mean, win a World Series because he won 2 with those 2 teams.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had Hosmer, who was really, really good, but now is very mediocre and overpaid in San Diego. I'm trying to think of who else they had. They had Greg Holland, who was really gross.
Alex
Wade,
Gordon.
I said Alex Gordon.
Oh, you did.
Wade Davis was disgusting. Who
Kane.
else did they have?
Lorenzo
Yeah,
Kane.
they had Lorenzo Kane.
That
They
guy.
had
I remember that playoff series against Kansas City. He was always the leadoff guy.
dude.
First,
You weren't.
he was always on base, like to start the first inning.
He had like a. Oh no, that wasn't him. That was Alcides Escobar, dude.
Oh
That's a
yeah,
name I
that
forgot.
was Escobar. That's who it was. Yeah, I forgot about him. But yeah,
Another
anyways.
thing about the Royals, I went to a game where Donaldson kept getting plunked by Volquez.
Oh no way! I was at that game too.
Oh shit! Okay, this was like 4 or 5 years before we met. Okay, that's cool.
Mhm.
Anyways, going back to Semien.
Well,
Sorry, I was
what
finishing
I like
something.
about this signing is that to me it's pretty low risk, right?
Yeah,
It's
it's a year.
it's 1 year, not a ton of money like in baseball terms. It's he's an underrated player who I think has more upside than he does downside just by looking at his numbers through the years. It's like a low risk, high reward thing, which is exactly what you want to do. And
Yeah,
we've already touched on this point, but he brings flexibility, which is something that Atkins and Shapiro love, his flexibility.
I think like, the thing that really kind of pissed me off, or not pissed me off, but annoyed me, is that like I wasn't a fan of Biggio at third. To me, I think Biggio is like a prime second baseman, but this is also kind of like a good problem to have for the team because you have on that left side going into the right side of the infield, aside from Bichette, you have both Biggio and Semien who can play all 3 positions except for the outfield, which only Biggio can. So you have that flexibility with that. And then obviously Bichette doesn't really know how to play third. I don't think he played second at all. So
I
like,
figure middle infield, right?
yeah, exactly. And I think like to have a guy like the Jays were also looking at Andrelton Simmons, which they were looking at like all the way back at the trade deadline, which feels like forever ago. But like the thing with Simmons was he was primarily a shortstop. He never played a second position.
Yeah.
The thing with Gregorius and what we just said about Semien is he could play multiple positions. Like Gregorius could play short, but he played a little bit of third with Philly. And if you look at the third basemen that were really available on the market, like there was like what Justin Turner who was like okay, but maybe on the wrong side of 30.
Well, apparently Turner too is also in the Blue Jays top 4 like finals list to get him.
Yeah. Well, I think this kind of eliminates that possibility now. But there is another possibility that we were talking about, which was Chris Bryant, which you wanted to dive into that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of like trying to like spinball it off the top of my head of like what would be fair value for a team like the Cubs if they want to part with Bryant.
Mm-hmm. Well, to me, like if you get Bryant, it opens up so much, right? Because and then you can put Biggio in the outfield and put Bryant in at third, and then that makes you can probably include Lourdes Gurriel Jr. in that package to acquire Bryant. Which, if I'm getting Bryant the other way, I'd be okay with parting with Gurriel Jr. And you have the depth at the outfield position too, I think.
Yeah, and just to kind of back up your point here, I just searched up Chris Bryant's name or Kyle Hendricks' name, and there was an article that came out saying that the Cubs are reportedly looking at a deal to give the Jays both Hendricks and Bryant.
Ooh, I wonder what that would include.
And there's a tweet that backs it up. Scott Mitchell, who works for TSN, somebody responded to I think replied to his tweet saying, "Any truth regarding the Jays and Cubs discussing a Bryant and Hendricks deal?" Scott just said one word, which was yes. Cool. And this was on the 22nd, which was last Friday. We are now Tuesday. And now with the rumor that spring training is going to be pushed back, I mean, I think we're going to be in for a really crazy February, dude. I'm ready for it. Like, considering like we knew January stuff was starting to pick up from the baseball market, like Real Muto signed today, which like virtually went unnoticed.
Yeah.
But then he re-upped with the team that he was with before. It's not really a huge one. And I think what it really comes down to is like, I think the Cubs right now are preparing to tear it down. Dude, you could do a lot. Like you said, with Lourdes Gurriel Jr., that's a name that I'm sure the Cubs are going to want, especially when you look at their outfield being so bare right now with losing Schwarber. They're going to need a left fielder. And even I would honestly think maybe Grichuk. I would honestly think like maybe you move Ian Happ into a corner outfield spot, and then you're going to have to play Hayward regardless because nobody's taking that contract. And then I think if you give them Grichuk, that's kind of like, okay, that addresses one of our needs. And the Jays have a lot of prospects. Like if they want to move on from a Jordan Groshans, I think they're willing to do that. If they want to move on from, I don't know if they want.
I think you include Groshans if you're making a trade with the Reds. Like I think I said this last week because I know that they're looking for like their shortstop of the future kind of thing.
Yeah, and like I think with
but that's another thing too that like not a lot of people talking about. The Blue Jays still have an absolutely loaded prospect pool that they can dip into if they need to. Because right now they're a team that's like being built to win within the next couple years.
Yeah, and like that's the thing that really like makes them so deadly. Because like they have a lot of flexibility. They have prospects. They have roster guys that are ready to go. And you look at the Blue Jays prospect, like I have their top 30 list up here right now. Like, okay, Nate Pearson, he's not going anywhere. Austin Martin, he's not going anywhere. Jordan Groshans is listed as their number 3, but they have him kind of as like a double-A prospect of like, we don't know what he's going to be. And there are a couple other names that I think, you know, the Jays would really look at.
Well, like when you're trading prospects, all that matters is the name, and he's a name.
Right, but you have to think like if you're the Cubs, you want some guys to at least slot into the lineup, right?
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I don't know if Groshans is ready for the show, but I think he's definitely a guy the Cubs look at. And there's other ones too, like I said in my long Twitter thread, Alek Manoah could be a guy they move on from a pitching standpoint. Eric Pardinho has a lot of high upside.
Alejandro Kirk. Reese McGuire.
I feel McGuire's more likely to be moved than Kirk because personally, I think, especially if you're making a deal with the Cubs, Kirk's name is not going to be thrown into the mix because they already have Contreras, right?
Yeah.
So they have Contreras, and I think they have Cartini, Cartini, who's their backup. Like, I don't think they want a catcher unless they have a very thin catching pool. Um, I honestly think, like, if you look at guys, like, if you look at their team, like, they don't have a second baseman, I don't think. Um, Rizzo might want out too, which I think would be really interesting. Um, I think, like, it's getting to the point where, like, they want to tear it down and rebuild it from scratch. I honestly don't know if they'll do this. I think they might consider it. Does Rowdy Tellez go in the deal? Do you think?
Well, the
And
thing is,
maybe
where do
give.
you put him now?
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, he's probably the team's everyday DH.
Right, but you also have to think of like, I don't know if they put like the thing is like, with the cut like he would play second fiddle in Chicago unless say Rizzo moves tomorrow, which knowing our luck he will. Um, But like I think personally, like if you're gonna trade him, he's gonna want to be a team's like number one first baseman. And now with the news that there's gonna be no universal DH in 2021,
That
that
really
opens up
limits
exactly.
it
So like
limits
that's
the market.
I feel like if you look at like I know they probably might want to move Tellez, but the problem is that if you look at the American League, like there's not a whole lot of like flexibility when it comes to like teams that he can maybe play for, where the Jays could get an MLB like caliber player back. Like you look at like I won't even touch the AL East just because like I doubt they would want to trade him there. But like you look at like you go to Minnesota and like they have Sano there. Yeah, the White Sox with Abreu. Cleveland has I think Josh Naylor, who's their first baseman now. Like O'Hearn with the Royals, like Miguel Cabrera, if they want to take that contract, that would friggin' be hilarious. Like there's not, and especially in the NL, like I know he would very much be a great NL player because you look at like there's a lot of power in the National League, a lot of power hitters, but like I don't know if there's like a fit. The only team that I think would be interested in Tellez as an everyday first baseman would be the Washington Nationals. Because I don't know if I don't think Ryan Zimmerman is back. So I think maybe they look at that, they get another pop because they had Eric Thames last year. He's not coming back. Maybe the Brewers, if they need a first baseman, but like again, what's coming back? I feel like Telez's name is definitely being thrown around, but there's no like fits, and I don't think he wants to be or has the value of a bench guy or anything like that. So that's what I personally think, but I feel like there's a lot more names that we don't know that are being shopped aside from like
Yeah.
the untouchables of like the Bichettes, the Guerreros, the Biggios,
Mm-hmm.
probably I don't know if Gurriel's on that list or not. I think like if Gurriel is gonna go, then you would have to send him to a team like Chicago to get like a Hendricks back. Like if they get, I feel like the only way they do that, like I don't know if the Cubs want to shed salary, if they want to like eat a lot of money. Like I think like look at Tanner Rourke, they could throw Rourke over there, and they can just have 1 year of him. He's kind of like going to be like their John Lester guy. Uh, like again, I don't know. Like I could sit here for hours and like talk about this, and like I really want so much to happen, but again, like as we've learned over the course of like the last 4 or 5 months that we haven't had baseball, it ended
Mm-hmm.
in October.
Yeah.
So like 3 4 like it's gonna come slowly, and when it does, it's gonna hit everybody like a truck. Like the Springer one hit everybody like a truck
Mm-hmm.
in a good
So,
way.
oh yeah, especially hit you with the truck because you were convinced that he was
I
going
became a meme
somewhere
that I
else.
hope blows up, but I don't know because
Uh,
I don't have the enthusiasm to pull it off.
um. So let's go back to the pitching because there's a few arms that the Jays are talking about, and one of them I want to eliminate right off the bat. I don't want Tanaka on the Blue Jays,
No, I don't want him either.
but I've seen a lot of talk about that, which makes me kind of nervous. I
Well,
don't
I mean,
think.
they already have a Tanaka like player in Yamaguchi,
Yeah. Well, he's
and
the
that was
bullpen
fun.
though. It's just
Well,
it's the inconsistency. Like I just want consistency, especially as a starter. You want someone that you know will go in there, give you 8 innings and okay, not 8 innings, sorry, give you 6 innings and one and like 4 or 5 hit ball or whatever, like at worst.
mhm. um, yeah, with Tanaka, don't know if I want that. With James Paxton, I don't know
It's
because
his
how.
health that's concerning me.
Yeah, it's like what if you're getting James Paxton who hit a no hitter on
Against the
Canadian
Blue Jays.
soil? I think he's the first Canadian to do that since like I don't even know what other Canadian. I think Cal Quantrill maybe. I don't know. I'm a young kid. I don't know these old things. Baseball unfortunately is still an old man sport because they don't want to be
Yeah.
young people having fun. Um, but anyway, uh, Paxton I don't know. Odorizzi I would like.
I'd like Walker.
Yes, I would very much like Walker. I forgot that they had Robbie Ray until I looked at one of your tweets. Like, dude, that was like what 2 days after they won the World Series.
Yeah, that was like the first free agent signing, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I was like one of the first ones to like let the pin drop.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna be seeing a lot more stuff soon, but like it's getting there. It's very much getting there.
What do you think their chances are at Bauer? Because apparently
Uh,
they're still in on him. They haven't like ruled it
I
out.
think I think to be honest with you, they're kind of like they're in on Bauer like they were in on Cole. They're like keeping a tab on him. They'll probably throw him a number, but I don't think that they'll really hit home on it. And like the
Well,
thing is that I think with a lot of these players, if they're like year one of a multi-year deal coming out of this pandemic, it might be a wash because like who knows what caliber of the player that we're seeing
mhm.
because we don't know what it's going to look like. If I honestly think baseball is going to start in May at this point instead of April, which
Which isn't
honestly,
bad.
I would prefer that just because like you can have a lot more flexibility, hopefully in the United States and also here as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but again, like you don't know what the hell's going to happen between now and May. Like it's weird that we're already near the end of January and like it's like time's going by quickly, but not. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It's like kind of along those lines, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But like the thing is like going back to the Bauer point, I don't think that he's really interested in coming to Canada just because of the way that the economy is right now. And I think the way that he is like I know like the economy in the States isn't much better, but like it's something that he's at least been used to. Like if you come over to Canada, you have to deal with taxes, you have to deal with
Getting paid in
uh
American dollars though, and being in Canada.
yeah, but also you have to think about uh, if he wants to settle for playing in Buffalo for the first 2-3 months of
Well, it
the
might be
season
Florida.
potentially,
I think it's going to be
or
Florida.
well, I mean, I don't know if it's Florida because if like you saw that the Cactus League in Arizona was like we can't run spring training because
The
X,
numbers
Y,
are
and Z.
so bad
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah. What's really funny was Jeff Passan like quoted the tweet and he was like, "This was signed by the Arizona mayor who is allowing Arizona
You mean
Coyotes
the
hockey."
Arizona governor?
Or, I don't know. No, I think the mayor signed on to it too because it's
Yeah, but
within the
Arizona's not
city
a
of.
city. They don't have a mayor.
Oh, sorry, I'm stupid. I don't know American geography. But they were saying like, okay, this is a problem. We understand that, but why are the Coyotes allowed fans and why are the Sharks allowed fans? Because the Sharks are playing in Arizona. And to that, in the back of my head, I want to go to Jeff and say the Coyotes just need money, man. They're kicking the can and they're about to sell. But I mean, like, I don't think anybody. I think if any team is not going to come out of the pandemic alive, it's going to be the Arizona Coyotes. I know we're kind of going to hockey in that sense, but
I'll tell you this much before we wrap up baseball. If Arizona has to relocate because they sell the team, it won't be a Canadian team that gets it. That it won't be to a Canadian
Oh
city.
no, I think to be completely honest with you, and especially with moving Arizona before this season to the Central Division, I honestly think that they're going to go to Houston. Like having two markets in Texas, like there's a market there, especially after Dallas went to the Stanley Cup final. I think the gears start to turn. I think Goldman Gary, he's gonna start. Kind of like, doing like putting
Dallas
his
was
hands
in
together, like
the Dallas Stars are in the top half of the league in revenue last season too.
yeah. And I think they're like the top 10 or 15 most profitable or valued franchises in hockey.
Top, I think they were 11th or 12th.
Yeah, they're within they're on the verge. I think if they have more seasons like last year, they're on the verge of the top 10. I think personally, I think that's what we're really going to see.
Mm-hmm.
But again, only time will tell. I guess this is the perfect time to segue into hockey.
Yeah.
Can we rant about Sunday, please?
Yeah, we can start with that.
Yeah. And then Joey
I'll
has
let
another
you
rant. Yeah, I'll
I'll
intro
let
it.
I'll let you recreate your Snapchat story or whatever it was you were talking
Okay.
about earlier.
So yeah, so I was watching the Flames Leaf game from Sunday night back because the Leafs play the
Sunday
Flames
afternoon.
tonight.
It was
Sunday afternoon.
it was a
Yeah,
matinee.
it was a matinee, which is gonna be weird, even though like you look at they're only gonna do this like maybe like once or twice because like the Leafs are gonna be like, we're not doing afternoon games. You can just piss right off. But anyway, so game goes well. I thought Campbell was really good, even though like the two that he allowed, like one was a bank off of Monahan, like whatever. The other one was like I think he was screened or was like a really clustered scramble that led to a rebound goal. What pisses me off is the last 30 seconds of the game. Now, Campbell was not injured because of said player who will not be benched yet because I wanna rant about him in a minute. You could tell in the replay he kind of overextends his leg. I think it's a hamstring issue,
Or
which like when
groin or something, I thought.
I think it's personally hamstring, because he was really favoring his left leg. Or
I don't know
so
the human body anatomy enough to really comment.
I would like to assume it's like hamstring or quad or something like that because he had a really hard time putting pressure on it. But again, it could have been groin, but for all we know, right? So I will not give flack for Matthew Tkachuk for injuring Jack Campbell because he did not. You know, stuff like that happens. Goalies are very sensitive below the belt. You cannot tell me, as a fan of the sport, that he was falling on a goalie because he tripped on somebody. He did not. You saw the clip.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, he initially was falling, but on what point is your knee like kicking, like pulling back and then jamming down into somebody like on the back of like their, like the tip of their spine or like their neck? And like what's dangerous is like the goalie's head is like it's like okay, like they have like the back part of their mask, but that only goes to like the back of their head, and then once like you get to like where their neck is, it's basically exposed. So like he's lucky that that was his knee and not his skate. If that was his skate going into his neck, that could have like damaged some vertebrae. That could like I don't know how the extent of the injury could have been, but that could have been catastrophic.
Yeah, I don't
And
even want to think about it.
exactly. And like the thing is like if like even if you didn't mean to do it, come out and say that you didn't mean to do it. Say like, oh, you know, I didn't mean to. It was an accident. Uh, you know, I hate to see a guy get hurt like that. You know, be respectful about it. Don't play the friggin' oh, woe is me. You know, this only happens to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's classic of everyone to assume that I'm a dirty player, which in reality he is. And here's where Flame fans are like, oh, well, the Leafs aren't really clean either. They have Wayne Simmons and like he's pretty dirty and like not really. And they're like, oh, well, the Leafs had Nazem Kadri, and I'm like, well, Nazem Kadri hasn't been on the Leafs in almost 2 years now. What's your point? And also, like when Kadri did things, it's not like we defended him,
We're like,
right?
no, remember, yeah, like we would always like be like, yeah, he was stupid. Like when he did that to DeBrusque in the playoffs, we're all like, why the hell would he do that in the playoffs?
Yeah, exactly. It was like, you know, it's one of those examples where like a player is so passionate, but sometimes his temper is like it's loose.
Steve
You
Dangle
know,
used
like
to say it best. He'd have this red mist that would just like go over him. And once he had that, you're like, oh shit, you know, he's going to do something stupid. Like when it was against Calgary, I think it was Giordano, right? When he told him he was going to
he
cut.
did the
Yeah.
throat slash, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he got fined for that too. But anyways.
Yeah, he got fined for that. He got suspended, I think, near the end of that season though, which was funny.
Yeah.
It was like, sure, just suspend our number one center with like 3 games left of the season. Who cares? We want last place anyway. But anyway, um, I want to shed light on a little bit of humor with the Leafs because Sheldon Keefe made a joke about how Michael Hutchinson was the player to go past, or was like a Leaf that went to the second round and like could have went to the Western Conference Final. He's like, oh, he has experience. You know, he's a good goalie. Zach Bogosian in the background. That's just like, the fuck, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you see this? I got a ring on my finger. You know.
Well, not yeah.
I just won
He
it.
didn't receive the ring yet, but it's going to be there.
I don't know when they're doing it. I think they want to do it whenever, like, I think the start of next season, they'll, assuming that things are better, right? Because like we don't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
But who knows?
Anyways, yeah. I'm more upset at the NHL than I am Kachuk because we know the type of player Kachuk is. We know he likes to cross the line sometimes and be like that. Like that's like the kind of player he is. You don't go into a game against Matthew Kachuk not expecting something like that to happen, right?
I've completely given up on the NHL player safety. Like I gave up on it. Like I thought I gave up on it a while ago, but like especially to start this season, like there were 3 easy suspendable plays. There was the Gallagher hit on Darnell Nurse, which was horrible, and Nurse could have friggin' snapped his neck. Thank God he didn't. There was the Myers hit on, I think it was Joel Armia.
Yeah.
That was bad because Yoel, sorry. And literally it was blatant shoulder to head.
Yeah.
Like clear as day in front of the ref. The ref even called it, I'm pretty sure. And of course no suspension there. And now you have this shit. Like, is George Peros like does he like not know what like a crime is anymore? Like seriously?
Why does
like,
the NHL have a former goon as like the Department of Player Safety too?
Well, in theory, you think it works because it's like, oh well, I know what I did, and like this is bad, but like
that's like hiring a criminal to like be security for a bank robber.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I've robbed a few. It's like like you get those Beyond Scared Straight people where you have like the guys that are in prison and are like, I did this, I went to prison for this shit. Like you gotta go ahead and
but they say that while they're still in prison, so it's like they got nothing else to really say to them.
True, very true.
Anyways,
but like the Department of Player Safety I think should just be abolished at this point because if you're not going to use it.
Anyways, yeah, because they always if Campbell got a concussion, it definitely would have gotten looked at, but they only suspend whenever like an injury occurs, which is I find ridiculous because one of these days the NHL has been criticized a lot in the past for the way how they handle CTE and head injuries and all that. And in one day they're gonna have something happen. For example, what Kachuk did to a goal did to Campbell. That's gonna happen in another game. That goalie's gonna, God forbid, break his neck or get a concussion or something like that. And then they're gonna have to be forced to suspend it and make an example out of that guy.
Yeah,
but in reality, They could have already set the example this time and said, no, we don't want any of that to happen. And they could have avoided somebody from having a potentially life-altering injury. But the NHL Department of Player Safety is just like, oh, well, he didn't get hurt. So, there's nothing we can really do about it, because apparently you have to get hurt to be, you have to injure someone in order to be suspended.
I don't know who's worse at procrastinating, the NHL or every local government in like North America at
Or
this
me.
point. No, like I remember I made a quip at the Ontario government because they were like, we're delaying the lockdown, and I'm like, I don't know who basically procrastinates more. These guys are like college students, and like half the people that were like, nah, it can't be college students. I think the NHL is like the epitome of like fossilized, like Stone Age trying to move into like the Middle Ages, and like trying to make that transition. They're like 2,000 years too late. I don't know what analogy I'm going for, but like they're still playing with like friggin' hieroglyphics on the stone tablets. And then the NHL is just like, oh, we have, or the NBA is like, oh, we have like smartphones and we have like screens where we can show our fans up there. Like, you guys don't have that at all. But I don't know. And what was really funny was looking at the apparently Pierre Maguire was saying that if the NHL moves to like like USA Network and like all these other places, it'll be more in the like focal limelight and like be entertained to people. But like I still don't know if that's gonna work. Like they're like the league is paying for bad decisions that everyone's been making. Like here, the one thing I'll say about Gary Bettman, he knows how to bring hockey into certain markets to an extent, because he's only had it really fail twice. Well, I would argue Atlanta and then Quebec, maybe.
Well, Quebec was just like a shitty situation, I think, too, with the way that the dollar was back then.
Yeah, and like I think what it all comes down to is like before Bettman walks, they may look at that, maybe like coming back to Quebec, but like he's good at, I'll say this, he's good at finding markets in North America to host and manifest the fan base. He's not good at exposure. He is not good at exposure. And like a lot of it is due to like the IIHF. Apparently I heard like the guy who's like the head of the IIHF is like a giant prick who like doesn't care about anything but money. And he's also the head of like, or like the guy that helps negotiate with the Olympics. And it's just like, I don't know, man. Like it's really hard to look at it. But I mean, like, I think what it all comes down to is like this next CBA that they signed. Let's hope that they can at least go back to like pre-pandemic success, because admittedly there was a little bit of a stable growth, especially when the salary cap projections, and then COVID was just like, yeah, no, we're done with that. Bye-bye. Anyway, so before we get off of hockey,
well, I want to talk more about the goaltending situation.
Okay, we'll get into that, and then you have another thing coming.
How confident are you in Hutchison?
Well, not as insecure as you would think, because another reason why he was so bad is because the Leafs defensively were so bad. I don't want to jinx it, even though the team plays like almost an hour after we're done recording, but like I can see this team playing really good in front of Hutchinson. Like,
defense has impressed me so far this year.
Mm-hmm. I really love what I'm seeing out of Justin Hall. And
for real,
from what people are saying in the advanced numbers, he's actually better than Colton Parayko, who Leaf fans were screaming about for like feels like forever. Going all the way back to like 2018, really 17, 18, or no, actually 18, 19.
Yeah.
Well, like, that's kind of what I envision. Brody's been, I think, really good after his first 2
I
games.
really liked Brody. Riley has struggled, but I'm not too worried about it. It's Morgan Riley.
Bogosian has not been horrible.
He had a terrible first game.
Yeah, his first game was awful,
It was
especially in the
atrocious.
penalties. Yeah, it was unwatchably bad. I think he really bounced back. Dermott, I think he's looked really good, like with his zone entries.
Who's going in
and,
for Dermott tonight?
It's going to be Letton and Bogosian as the bottom pair.
Okay, I want to see more out of Lettinen. Like I want to see more of what he can do. Play. Yeah, I want to see him quarterback that second power play unit.
Are you creativity. Upset? Are you upset that the Leafs did not get Tyler Ennis?
No.
Okay, neither am I. Now that we got
I just want to see Rasmus Sandin at one point. I want to see how he does.
Yeah, I think it's like getting to the point where I think we'll see him soon. I don't know like how soon, but like I think what it really comes down to is they want to give the veterans 2 opportunities and then have Sandin come in and be like, okay, well I can come and work.
Yeah. Like I understand you have to give the time to Lettinen because he signed here not expecting to not play, right? So he's going to get the reps before Sandin unless he just plays awfully or something.
And I think what really comes down to and what really kind of screws the NHL a little bit, having no AHL really sucks, especially
when it's begun.
Has it?
Yeah, I've seen tweets about it.
I thought it begins beginning of February.
Oh yeah, well it's going to begin, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's going to be. Yeah, I mean, thus far it really sucked.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that we see I'm seeing a lot of players more and more going to Europe because they figure like I can go play in Europe.
And Jeremy Bracco.
Yeah, former second round pick Jeremy Bracco, who actually went before Dermott, I'm pretty sure. Which that makes sense why they want to do that because it looks like, but like I don't know how better the situation, like how much better the situation is in like Sweden, and Finland and all these.
Apparently in Sweden, places. It's surprisingly not well. The situation.
Well, yeah, like they don't really care, to be completely honest. I think I think Finland is okay right now. Germany's been heading a lot better. You can go play hockey in the Italian league. Italy's starting to get better in terms of COVID.
Who really wants to? What's the competition level like in the Italian league?
I have no idea. Or maybe Switzerland.
Pasquale, pass me the puck.
Giuseppe in on goal.
Oh, Nunzio with the stop.
Oh my God. We need more of an Italian hockey market, I swear. If we get more of an Italian market, except there's one player who cannot play on the Italian market, and that's Tony DeAngelo. He can fuck right off.
You mean NYR fan bunch of numbers?
It's hold on, I got
NYR. All you gotta say is
it's NYR fan 923602444.
That's awesome. Tony DeAngelo, ladies and gentlemen.
What's really funny
his new Twitter account.
I think he put his junior number in there too, so everyone was like, "Yeah, it's this guy."
I don't think he picked that number. I think that's one of those auto-generated things.
Maybe, I don't know. Has he liked any? The last thing that he did was like a Aubrey Huff tweet. Saying,
of course it's Aubrey Huff. Oh my God, that's you can't tell me that's not Tony DeAngelo liking that's a most definitely a Tony DeAngelo burner if he's liking an Aubrey Huff post. Come on.
Do you guys want to see an NHL player have an NFL style tantrum? Here you go. It's that bad. But I mean, who isn't bad? New CFL wide receiver, our boy Martavius Bryant. Random segue.
Do we really care about the CFL?
Going back to baseball really quickly, there's a nice tweet from that Brandon K guy that broke the Springer trade?
Oh yeah.
I followed him, right? And he wrote, the Blue Jays have spent $184.5 million in free agency since Marcus Stroman said the front office would never build around this team.
That's fun.
Big middle finger to him. I mean, like, I love
Pyro and Atkins saw that tweet and we're like, okay, bet.
Yeah. They're like, how many zeros to that check do you want, Georgie?
It's like, do you guys really want me? No, we just wanted to prove Marcus wrong.
Honestly, imagine if they get like a former Met who play with Stroman next season, and then they're like, so season or going well? Yeah, it's going well.
Stroman was a wreck in the locker room. Oh man, he was inconsolable after you guys made all this. Do you imagine the interview?
I
Anyways,
really wish he wasn't that bad because the dude is so talented, and he has got a very good positive mindset. I'll give him that.
I know,
You
but
could
then
be,
he was like this with the Jays too, right? He has the right mindset.
yeah.
He has like that likable personality, and then he just go and say something stupid. You're like, hey man, you gotta
I
like
think
shut
he
your
needs to
mouth.
mature a little bit more.
Man, sure,
Like
he's
once he gets
30 years old.
is he?
Yeah,
Dude, how old am I? No way, he's 30.
he's 30.
I got. Marcus
I think
Stroman
this is just who he is
is
at this point.
he's 29. You liar.
Okay, well, he's
Okay,
turning 30.
okay, but he's 30. Yeah, that's what I'll say. I don't know. It's one of those things where like I hope that he can like. I think he was just really like bummed out because he really wanted to stay. I think that's really what happened.
Anyways,
Maybe a reunion can happen. Who knows? Anyway,
you want to start this next part?
I'm gonna intro it because you really had some passionate things. So late last night on the Twitters,
Not really too late.
like around like 10ish.
No, it was before that. But
So
anyways, not important.
I'm gonna butcher it because like I'm very like foggy because I was focusing a lot on baseball. But basically what happened is the NWHL was trending late in the evening last night. And there was a video that came out from can't remember what it was. It was a number of people from Barstool were coming out and saying how the NWHL that the NWHL should never was unprofessional because he didn't have a Barstool representative or players involved. Like saying how like if you're a hockey franchise or a sport franchise, you have to be affiliated with Barstool, which was incredibly stupid because why would you care about that? And one of the players who plays for the I can't remember what team she plays. I think she plays for
The
the
Riveters.
yeah. Are you thinking of a Sayora Tinker?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So she posted a tweet talking about that, saying we in all caps as a league do not want support from any openly racist platform. Point blank. Period. If you, as the CEO, cannot recognize that your platform promotes that of white supremacy and only further divides the athletic community, perhaps we need to have a conversation. Please keep your money. That right there shows me that this league is going to go wonders without bar. Like you don't need. It pisses me off the fact that there's a big company, whether it's like in tech.
The entitlement with
Yeah,
Barstool in this. The entitlement.
yeah.
The
It's like
oh my god.
okay. It's like okay, yeah, you have deals with all these other sport franchises, but you know what came before you guys? The sport franchises. You know what made millions of dollars before you guys? North American sports. Just because you came in, like they came in like what 6 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
like mid 2010s, like it just you haven't been in the game for that long, and like you don't like it's almost one of those things.
Here's my thing.
I'll let you go for it because I know you have a lot to say about it.
Here's my thing. Like I wouldn't have an issue with Barstool at all. I think Barstool is a network. I guess it's a network you can call it.
Yeah, it's like a
platforms.
makeshift network. Yeah,
it's a multimedia platform that has so much potential to do really good things, and there's some genuinely talented people that work for Barstool. But I cannot respect something or want to even pay attention to anything that has what's his name?
David Portnoy.
Yeah, Dave Portnoy running it. Like, why would Like, why are you so surprised of a women's hockey league not wanting a company owned by a sexist, a misogynist, a racist? You can add whatever to
Yeah, like the
that.
list goes on.
Yeah, why would you want that to represent your women's game? What if have you seen the comments under Barstool posts? It's all like that bro culture and that
Yeah,
and that like they're all so like it's Trump supporters. They basically love
basically,
Barstool.
it's the MAGA army.
Yeah,
It's
and
like they won't go away now because like they
it's
had 4 years
Trump's.
of freedom.
Yeah. Anyways, that's what it is, and like I don't care who's working for them or who's trying to promote the league. Even if they are genuinely trying to promote the league and cover the league, how can you take any of it as genuine when you have Portnoy running that company? Like you can't. And I can already see the comments from those mouth breathers inside, like underneath any NWHL uh posts that Barstool sends out. Like it's like the entitlement is what pisses me off about it. The lack of self-awareness on Barstool's end is what pisses me off about it. And the one who made it was actually the CEO of Barstool who put together that
Yeah,
post. And what she did was she publicly named like who it was that was criticizing Barstool, who was affiliated with the NWHL. And what it did was it sent all those mouth breathing fans over to those people's Twitter accounts. He started harassing them last night.
yeah, and it's like
And
one of those
it's like, of course,
things.
it's like, and then Barstool's going to plead, oh no, we didn't send them to do that. We can't control what our fans do. You know exactly what your fans are like, exactly what your followers are like. They're going to do that. That's just who they are. You have to be more self aware.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what it really comes down to is like they didn't have to make that video. The fact that they made that video and then just backed away just goes to show that they're number one, like you said, entitled. They're like, oh, how dare this new thriving league that's, trying to, expand their coverage and whatnot. How dare they basically, do whatever they want to do
Mhm.
without our approval because we totally have a say in what the league does. And like, and the thing is like, this is a league that's trying to grow because the CWHL, which many people forget,
At the
shut
fold.
down. Yeah, it folded like 2 years ago.
Not even. Was it
Not
two
like a
years
year.
ago?
Yeah, it was like a year and a half ago. I remember it
Yeah.
folded.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, they're trying to grow the game. And the problem is like having people like this and like Portnoy, I think like is the perfect example of a stereotypical sport guy of I want to have a beer in my hand. I want to watch guys beat the ever loving shit out of each other. I want to watch. My favorite athletes are like predominantly white athletes, and the only women I want to see are like friggin' half naked cheerleaders. Like that's the guy that he basically wants to be,
Mhm.
and that's
He's such
fine
a
if you want to do that in your
Portnoy.
private life. But
Portnoy is
if you're
he's such a tool. He's such a piece of shit.
exactly, and it's like
I wouldn't want him if I ever have a company one day. I'd never want him to like have anything to do with it. And like another thing too is like how can you say that you're for growing the NWHL when the NWHL starts and it's doing and it I from based on like what I see from like the people who are watching the Twitch streams of the games, which you can watch the games on Twitch if anyone's interested.
yes,
www.twitch.com/NWHL.
it's Twitch.tv. You silly sir.
Is it? Okay, sorry.
Yeah, it's
Twitch.tv.
all good.
Um, yeah, you can go watch the games there if you're interested. And I've watched the first two Toronto Six games, and it's a good product on the ice. But what gets me is they say that they're genuinely wanting to help grow the game, and then they go and shit all over it and making it about Barstool again.
Yeah, it's
You can't tell me
counterproductive.
the only reason why you care about it is because you see it as another way to make money. You don't actually care about the growth of women's sports.
Exactly. It's like basically I don't want to call Portnoy a millionaire because I'm sure he isn't. But he's like one of those entitled rich men that's like, I want to make more money. And pandemic hurt my funds. So I want to go and make more money because I lost all this money. And I'm going to go and purge funding from this league. And like, how dare they make, and again, like, how dare they make money even though
without
I'm not
me.
associated. Yeah, exactly. It's like it's not like he like is what makes the dollar run. Like he's not in the stock market. I don't think. If he is, I don't think he'd be smart enough. Like he's not in charge of like what grows the economy. He's an owner and founder of a business. If Barstool really wanted to take a stand, like, and this happened like after all the stuff in the spring and summertime of all the racial uh and like social unrest that was happening in the United States. Like, didn't they release an episode of their podcast where it's literally just the N word in like an acronym?
Yeah, and they made up
Like,
some acronym so they can call it that.
yeah. And this was
But
after
that's
all of
edgy,
this.
bro. It's
Oh, it's
edgy.
edgy. Yeah, it's
It's
edgy.
funny. It's supposed to be funny. You don't have a sense of
He's a
humor.
he's a big man, friggin' guy who's 44 years old and lives in like, of course he's from Boston.
He you know what he is? You know what he is? He's one of those frat boys who still thinks he's a frat boy 20 years later.
Yeah, exactly. Like this guy is basically, and the thing is like what really pisses me off. Okay, the whole small business support thing, great, huge initiative, does not take away the blemish of what you did before.
Yeah.
It's like you can
Bad
do
people can still do good things.
Yeah, like friggin'
Is El Chapo a good person because of all the drugs that he got via taking advantage of people and murdering God knows how many people? Okay, because he gave all that, he put that money into the community he's from. Does that make him a good person?
dude, OJ, who is the most notorious criminal of the last
In sports,
decade.
in the sports world, at least.
Well, yeah. Well,
Aaron
yeah,
Hernandez.
you're right. Well, from this, well, I'd say to pop culture too, because like
Yeah,
when he popped off with
it
all
was a
of his
huge
stuff,
moment.
he was also an actor and figure, right? Like you can't tell, like if you go up to OJ, and like this was obviously before the pandemic, it was really like kind of sad, but also like really kind of have like a dark sense of humor to it. There was a kid that went to go take a picture with him, and it's like that kid's like 8 years old. They don't know shit about you as a football player. They know you killed 2 people and got away with it. So I'm gonna
And
take a
and
picture.
helped make the Kardashians famous.
Yeah, and also held up a bunch of scalpers at gunpoint because they stole memorabilia.
Anyways, between all this, we had a point.
The point is you can't do nice things just to erase your mistakes.
Yeah.
Like if you want to, like, okay, you need to like show genuine remorse in what you have done in order to like say, okay, I've changed, I've been educated, I'm reformed, all this stuff, right? You can't just go out and say a bunch of racist and misogynistic stuff one day and then say, oh no, it was just a joke, bro. It was just a joke, bro.
Or no. Portnoy's favorite is oh wait, you don't
It's
have a sense of
edgy.
humor. You can't take a joke anymore. Like, oh, fuck off.
Yeah. He's literally, like you said, he's an overgrown frat boy who's just obsessed with friggin' stupid stuff. And what's really funny, if you search this guy on Wikipedia, he was actually arrested like 2 times. Like, this guy is an epitome of just stupidity. And it's just it's so stupid about how
we could go on and on about him, but if I have to say him or his name one more time, I might actually vomit. Like,
I honestly
if I
think
say
that
his
like
name or the company's name,
him, friggin' what's his stupid name? Mike Lindell, which is my pillow guy. They should, if anything, if you want to see, like we were making memes about the McGregor Poirier fight, have like, okay, if McGregor wants to fight Jake Paul, he can fight Jake Paul. If Tyson wants to have another fight, even though Tyson was technically a Trump supporter, Tyson should fight Dave Portnoy for charity, and Tyson should just clean his clock.
Portnoy won't
Because
do
he
that.
would do that.
He won't do that.
I know he won't do that because he's not smart enough. But like, dude, come on.
The Mr. Portnoy won't want to do that.
Oh, he won't because it's like, oh man, my lawyers and like like I'm
Oh
too old
God.
for that. Even though
Anyways,
Tyson's like 10 years older than him. Anyway, so
mm-hmm.
kind of end off on that point. Basically,
Go
the
watch some
lesson.
NWHL.
Yes, support the product, support the NWHL. If you're from Toronto, which is where we're from, follow the Toronto Six. They have a really good Twitter account. They have really good merch. I actually kind of want to buy some merch for myself, to be honest. Just because I haven't really like bought any like new clothes, and I figure like I should buy a bunch of sport merch and support. I feel like I should support them just because like they're still trying to grow their images. And yeah, you don't need to be associated with somebody to make money. That's
No. Yeah, the
the
NWHL
God's honest
has
truth.
the right people in place where they can do that themselves. They don't need the help
Yeah,
of some shitty social media multimedia network.
if Barstool invested money, okay, I understand, but they didn't put a dime in. Like, why?
Mm-hmm.
They don't even care about hockey. Why are they crying? Like, I don't know.
I guess we can end
Yeah,
off on some Raptors talk.
yeah. I don't know how I feel about this team. This team is very Dr. Jekyll,
They've won
Mr.
4
Hyde.
of their last 6.
They have. I think what it really comes down to, you can look at a record in the NBA, and a team will obviously be better than what their record shows. And I think that's personally what the Raptors are. Um, considering they were like bottom 3 for the longest time, considering they're doing better than the team that went to the NBA final, like I think that's a big W. They're basically like, they're not in the playoffs, they're not out of it, they're just there. And like considering they took 1 of 2 against Indiana, which they should have won that last one, they just kind of took their foot off the gas late. Like you look at the teams that are in front of them, they can definitely beat the Magic. That's not a shock. They could definitely beat the Knicks. That was the first team that they beat this season. It honestly feels like they can beat the Nets too, because the Nets like are so
struggling. It's weird.
Exactly. It's like,
I can't remember who it was on Twitter who said this, and I apologize for not being able to credit the right person. But they said this could either be one of the greatest things we'll ever see on a basketball court or the biggest tire fire. And I'm excited to see which one it is. And so far, it's looking like the latter.
Well, they're mediocre.
I wouldn't exactly call it a tire fire just yet.
It's underwhelming.
Yes.
And very much so. And the thing is like, I don't disagree with what Nick Nurse has done with the lineup. I think putting Chris Boucher in for the second quarter was a good decision. Baines has started a lot better over the last couple
Baines has
games.
looked better. He's looked like the Baines that we expected when we signed him.
Right. So that's a huge plus. I like how Nurse is kind of leaning on his bench a little bit. Like we're seeing a little bit more of
Matt Thomas sightings the last couple of games.
Yeah. We saw a Stanley Johnson start. Stanley Johnson
Johnson has been getting a lot more minutes than I ever expected Stanley Johnson to get. Paul Watson too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like you think this team is in the mix, in the midst of turning it around?
I think so. I think it's all gonna like the thing that worries me, like their next game is tomorrow against the Bucks. That kind of scares me.
Siakam might not be ready for it.
Yeah, you might not have Siakam for that game, which is gonna really suck. And like you're gonna have
Kyle's coming off of a foot issue.
And you have like you're playing against the top scoring team, I think, in the East. And like
their defense though has looked better the last half dozen games, a lot more than that. The last
and I think that's what they're really looking for. But the thing is that with the Raptors, like they're I don't think any of their big men can really shut down Giannis, and I think that's really a problem. And also like they have good, big weapons like Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton that are like very underrated. and like their defense has been really solid over the last couple of games. But also you have to look at it and be like, looking at what they've done so far. This team lost to Miami, and this team lost to the Pelicans and the Mavs twice to start the season. So,
Mm-hmm.
what it's all going to come down to is like this team are not just the Raptors, but like every team in the NBA right now is either underachieving greatly or overachieving greatly. Like the Clippers are
Yeah,
going on a run.
it's a weird season so far.
The East and the West to me are like completely flipped. And I think what this really comes down to is like the NBA is kind of hoping that like the unorthodox season can like capitalize on it. So I don't know. It's just really
Embrace the chaos should be
embrace the
their
chaos, embrace the weird,
mhm.
all that fun stuff.
When do we give Boucher his Sixth Man of the Year award and his Most Improved Player award? Do we give it to him now,
Uh,
or do we
I would
just wait?
say, I mean, it's only been 17 games out of 72. Maybe by like game 30, game 40, you kind of give it to him because like players can like Davis the second half of the season last year was just a monster. First half, he was completely unrecognizable, and then obviously the second half of the season happened, and it's just like, oh okay, like this guy's pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
And also like in terms of scoring, like the Raptors, well, let me go to team. Oh, I guess they don't have team stats. That's kind of stupid. I thought it would be like for yeah, it's kind of stupid. I thought it was gonna be
Basketball
like
reference, buddy.
yeah, I'm on Sportsnet. I'm such a homer, I know, but whatever. Uh, yeah. There really isn't that much else to discuss. We have a some news on the Simmons deal. He is going on a 1-year deal to the Philadelphia, or not the Philadelphia Phillies, the Minnesota Twins for $10.5 million per year.
It's interesting.
That's weird. I'm assuming that maybe Polanco moves to third. Maybe they're not going to have Donaldson ready. I don't know. That's weird. Weird fit,
Mm-hmm.
but who knows? Moral of the story here is Randall Grichuk is currently trending right now, which
People putting
means
together the trade packages for him. That's definitely
so.
what it is.
Here's does anybody have like a trade tweet? Um. Okay, so it says dream scenario: you complete the off season by acquiring a third baseman, starting pitcher, and reliever in one move. Grichuk and prospects to the Cubs for Bryant Hendricks and Kimbrel. I don't think I would want Craig Kimbrel. 2 out of 3, yes. Craig Kimbrel, no.
If it was 5 years ago, I'd take him.
What Craig Kimbrel? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like he's been rough. But again, who knows? I think we're gonna find out a lot more over the next couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
Do we or do we not want to give our thoughts on who won the Line Dubois deal? Because there's a lot to unpack there. I feel like we should save that for another day.
We can do that quickly. I'll let you begin.
Yeah. So the deal was Jack Roslovic and Patrick Laine to the Columbus Blue Jackets in exchange for Pierre-Luc Dubois on a third. I'll let you guys think who won that deal. I personally think that. I mean, it's hard to say. I would say Columbus won the deal because like Dubois was great, but like he's gonna be playing what second line center, and then like who knows what happens with their cap situation with them. I think with Columbus, they have a shot at re-signing Laine, especially with the Finnish connection with Kekalainen. And I think Columbus is going to be one of those teams that's like the dark horse team to contend. So I mean, I think it works for them, but I don't know. It's just really funny how it's like they both had players that didn't want to be with their team anymore from like
Yeah.
what I presume is a personnel standpoint. I'm not sure the details, but yeah, it's pretty much that's that.
Yeah, tell them where to find us on the socials, Matt. This seems to be
Yes,
your job
sir.
now, so you
It
just got.
I haven't screwed it up for a while, so um so follow us on the Twitter at Q_City Roundup and at Instagram at Queen City Roundup, where you can get memes and posts and all this other fun stuff. Yeah, hopefully we can get more memes going soon.
You just got to say more stupid stuff, Matt.
I do that every episode. You just decided to do this one now.
Whoa.
And thanks for that flash, bud. All right, so now everybody who is watching on the YouTube or
This
well,
got
more so
blinded by me mistakenly. I turned on I was reading something. I was looking at my notifications and I turned on my flashlight by mistake.
such an amateur. I mean, I do that too, but like we're not going to talk about that.
No.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. Any comments that you want to say?
Screw Barstool.
Yeah. All my homies hate Barstool.